Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever for a 4v4 team matchmaker game played on the map Eonasia. And of course, it features some mid and high level players. Let's get right into player introductions, starting with, of course, Team 1 in the north and ending, of course, with Team 2 in the south. And let's go ahead and get right into it, starting in the west of Team 1 with a red Seraphim player going first land at 1600 rating. His name is, of course, Excited. Then we can make our way to the southeast for the Maroon UEF, going first land with the Chonky Boys today at a rating of 18, almost 1900. His name is Finks. Then, of course, up to the north of him, we have ourselves a yellow UEF going first land, and he is a nearly 1600 rated player by the name of Nasimka. Then, last but not least, for Team 1, we have ourselves an orange Seraphim going first land. He is none other than the most important person at 1464 rating. He is indeed the VIP. Then, of course, we can move on down to the southern side of the map, and starting in the east, making our way west, we have a blue Seraphim going first land at 1944 rating by the name of Yu Jeong. And then we can make our way to the northwest with the dark blue Seraphim going first land and second air. He also has the... Oh no, I got the names wrong. This is Yu Jeong at 1944, and we will go back and redo the introduction for this other player, a light blue Seraphim, first land, second air, by the name of Silent Noob. I am so sorry for that mishap, as we move on to the Cyan UEF, going first land by the name of SSX Nye, or NL, I'm not really sure. We're going to call him SSSX, and of course he is a 1364 rated player. And last but not least, we have ourselves a purple UEF at 1730 rating, 1730 rating. I'm sure I will get this introduction underway here soon, and of course his name is Green Submarine. Not really working very well. It is a Navy map, so he might have submarines, but he is purple today. And of course, with all of the players introduced, we have to take a look at this beautiful map. That scuffed introduction will have to do. And we have 29.5 thousand reclaim for these players to shovel into their coffers and spend on mass extractors mostly. And then, of course, we're going to have a lot of fighting breaking out. It's going to be a banger. So make sure you have yourself a drink. Make sure you have yourself a snack. Make sure you are in a good mindset and are having fun today as you go down and hit that subscribe button and hit the like button and leave a comment telling me why you think the Seraphim are the worst faction. Now, of course, we have a transport out over here that we saw earlier from Green Submarine. He is currently dropping some engineers over onto this island very close to where he spawns, and we're gonna have to see if he can manage to hold on to that. It's gonna be a relatively heavily contested area. We also have a transport coming out from Excited. He's gonna be dropping onto various islands, I would assume. And of course, does drop an engineer right there, is going to be dropping an engineer over here and onto this other small island. So we have everybody getting out, doing expansions. We have a transport over here to the east that is under threat of being shot down, but not before it delivers its payload of juicy civilians to the front line. And of course, we have a walked over engineer over here from VIP. He wants to contest this island. Whenever I play this map and I'm in this slot in particular, or even this slot, I really like to walk the commander all the way over to that island, because I feel like if you bring your commander and they don't, it makes it very easy to make sure you hold on to those 8 very important mechs points, because 8 mass extractors are very good for your economy. They really get it going. It's very nice. Working class mass extractors, of course. And then we have a couple of comms making their way out to the middle island. Both the commander of Yu Jeong and Finks gonna make their way to this middle island. That's going to be very contested here in the early game. We have a bit of air fighting going on above the base of Yu Jeong. Unfortunately for Finks, he's going to lose all of his interceptors right here. He was trying to go for some form of an airlock, but unfortunately, this transport that he has over here is going to be shot down, and the engineers are not going to live very long afterwards because there's a bomber already in wait from Yu Jeong. And of course, that bomber is just going to come in. It's going to drop its bomb. It's going to kill all 3 engineers. Finks trying to get a little bit of an advantage there, but he's not going to. In fact, Yu Jeong gets his commander onto the middle island first, meaning he is in the advantaged position. Meanwhile, over here to the west, we have a little bit of air harass going down onto Green Submarine's attempt at expanding to this westernmost island, and unfortunately for Excited, he's not really going to be able to do much here. There's going to be a bunch of mobile AA coming out. There are, of course, some interceptors out from Green Submarine, and this area is 100% under his control as of the moment. The only thing that could really stop that is some form of aggressive drop or a lot of T1 bombers, and of course, that is a risky investment. Don't expect to see that here today. Over here on the far eastern island, we have a little bit more of a contested situation. Both players are Seraphim, so both are going to be spamming up those oh so nasty Zooies and using their artillery prowess to go across the water and try and remove the other player's expansion. Here in the middle now, we have ourselves Yu Jeong building up a point defense. Finks is going to go for something similar himself, but instead just going to get all of this reclaim up as fast as he can, and Yu Jeong is going to come up here, contest it, but Finks most likely just going to be forced off of this island. Should grab as much reclaim as he can on the walk out, and needs to be a little bit careful because he is not doing particularly well in the water right now. Yu Jeong sitting in a very pretty position and may even have a submarine to chase this commander down if it does decide to go into the water. And now Yu Jeong is 100% happy to keep laying waste to that UEF commander, just throw his shots into that chassis. And of course, Finks not very happy with this early game situation. That submarine just getting free damage down onto every frigate that comes off the line, and that's going to be very painful. Needs to build up his own frigate. Is indeed going to get one of those tiger sharks into the water here soon, but unfortunately for Finks, what's he supposed to do? He's still trying to reclaim. He's at around 6,000 HP, but that doesn't last very long when you're talking about this early game harass coming out from the one, the only Yu Jeong. And this is a very, very contested middle island, but unfortunately for the northern team, not going to go their way. And we now have transports dropping over here for Excited. Wants to get himself set up on this island and wants to start trying to get aggressive over towards Green Submarine. All right, now the map is, the balance is 99%, but we do have to look at what the balance of the game is. We have 2 very high rated players, a 17 and 1900 for this southern team, and they're balanced out by having the lowest rated player of SSSX down here. He is of course a 1300. And of course, that's going to be a little bit of a dampener, but they have 2 very strong players in Green Submarine and Yu Jeong right here on this western side and central side. So you expect the Navy to go very well over here on this western side. Over here to the east, we only really have Silent Noob to fight this area, and Silent Noob is by no means a pushover. And he is going up against VIP and Nasimka, as well as some help could be thrown in by Finks. So overall, it is very balanced, but it is a bit lopsided in where the strongest players are positioned on the map. Now, of course, we have a lot of frigates coming out over here to the east for VIP. He did try to use Zooies and bombers to harass this expansion, but I'm pretty sure Silent Noob should be able to hold on to that as long as he can get some naval reinforcements over here. Frigates can hit all of this base, at least the Aeon can. I don't know about the other factions. Maybe they won't be able to hit that furthest back factory over there. But, of course, it's all to be seen in the future. We are not fortune tellers here. We are just here for a good time, and a good time only. Over here to the west, we of course have ourselves submarines going toe-to-toe with each other. Unfortunately, Green Submarine, he did at one point have a few more submarines here. He had 2, but I think that the submarines to the south of Excited will be very happy to scoop up those opposing submersible boats. And over here to the east, we have a bit of a engagement brewing between Finks and Yu Jeong. Yu Jeong is in a much better position As far as production goes, he would be fighting at an advantage if the fight was prolonged, and he is bringing over reinforcements to the east from the west to try and deal with Finks's aggression here. And of course, we have a lot of players getting up very high on eco. 109 mass a second for Yu Jaeong. Na Simka at almost 100 himself. Excited at 87. Silent Noob and Green Submarine both in the 80s range. And then 70, 69, and 68 for the bottom three players, being Finks, VIP, and SSS. And of course, Finks, I think that's not power stall related. He didn't really get as much reclaim as Yu Jaeong, and it's really set him behind, as Yu Jaeong already completed a T3 mechs. No, he hasn't. He just has more of his exterior mechs. 2 T2 is my guess there. And of course, over here to the center of the map, we have a bit of a fight breaking out. The Seraphim boats, unfortunately, are going to have the advantage here, and they're going to start taking these frigates out for Finks to the cleaners. Those blocky UEF frigates, those Thunderhead class, are no match right now for the overwhelming numbers currently possessed by Yu Jaeong. And now we have a few torpedo launchers coming out. T1 torpedo launchers are not horrible. They do not really have the prowess to stand up on their own, but as long as more frigates keep popping out here, as long as things keep going at least somewhat okay for Finks, I don't think he's going to be knocked out of the Navy just yet. These two or three torpedo launchers will be able to deal at least a modicum of damage to try and help his frigates come out on top here. And Finks still very low on HP. He's using overcharge on the commander there to make sure he can continue to get his production online. But now we have units out from Green Submarine coming over here to try and harass Finks. And oh no, we just need some units out from Excited, or maybe even units out from VIP. Just come over here, support your highest rated player, help him out a little bit. He's trying to get T2 boats online. He's trying to get a Valiant out, but how likely is that going to be if he's fighting two navies while doing it? The answer is probably not very. We do have some units over here from Excited and the occasional frigate flowing in from VIP. But this is still a very rough position for Finks. He really needs to get these units out of his production, and he needs to start rebuilding production, preferably most likely behind his base. Make it a little bit more of a risk to try and go for his production lines. And here the frigates continue their damage, and a destroyer now showing up for Yu Jaeong. Oh, if this factory goes down, I don't know if Finks will be able to recover very easily. And the factory down to very low HP, and it goes down. Oh no, it's a disaster here. At the 13-minute mark, Finks has been knocked back to the Stone Age technologically with his Navy, and he's going to have to rely on his allies to support him if he wants any chance whatsoever of getting back into this one. He has a lot of engineers. There is a ton of reclaim just right here on his doorstep. If they can just manage to control this area for a few minutes, maybe he can get reset up, reestablished, get back into the Navy game. He needs to keep his feet wet here. Otherwise, he is going to be in a very sad position being a landlubber with no mexes. And of course, over here to the east, we have a few destroyers now coming in from Silent Noob. And it's just looking really bad for the northern team here in the middle of the map. On the western side, things are thankfully looking a lot better. We have a lot of frigates, a lot of Navy built up by Excited, and he's being able to hold his own. But Finks goes down to the destroyers, and that is gonna be our first player ejection right around the 14-minute mark. And of course, that's going to leave Team 1 at a severe disadvantage. They are now just basically down on rating, down on APM, and this base is under siege. Sure, it's full share, but if the base doesn't exist in 5 minutes, what was it worth? And Finks says, sorry team, he effed up. Played very badly at every point, but his team is not out of it yet. We do still have Excited over here in the west. He is proving to be a powerhouse. And maybe with the second base here, maybe with that influx of economy, as long as he can set up some TMD to protect the mechs, as long as he can get some units out over here, maybe he can make something happen. I really loved the teamwork we saw out from Green Submarine and Yu Jeong. And overall economies, he's at 210 mass a second. The team's neck and neck for economics right now. So Team 1 has not fallen behind just yet. Over here to the east, a T3 mechs already finished up for VIP, and he is trying desperately to get out a couple of destroyers. He does have 2 right now. If he can kill off the other destroyer of Silent Noob, he can hold this position. And it does look as though he'll be able to do that. Can he do that and still manage to kill off the frigates? Yes, he can, because another destroyer rolls off the line. But it's going to be a hard ask for him to continue to contribute to this middle area. It's Excited versus the world, and right now Excited looks like he's struggling. And of course, Yu Jeong, he's getting out here. He's getting into the reclaim field that was created pretty much by him and Green Submarine. And right now, things are going all right. Of course, one bright spot for this northern team is Nasimka's control of his ASF. We didn't really pay attention to it, but he won an air fight, and he is now sitting on a huge lead from the air perspective. Maybe we could see a bunch of torpedo bombers coming out of his base and use those to cudgel down this Navy. Because if that doesn't happen, I fear that Excited may not be able to hold out too much longer. He's taking a fight over here with Green Submarine, has his own torp bombers in tow to try and help out, needs to focus down that shield boat. The shield boat getting much cheaper in a recent update. Also took a bit of a nerf, but was made cheaper for that nerf. And all of this reclaim, we can now see that Yu Jeong leading the reclaim charts at 14,000. Excited tying him and sometimes taking the lead himself. But that huge reclaim field was very important, and unfortunately, Northern team did not get sole possession of it. Sorry about the cough there. Throat is a little bit itchy today. Go ahead and take a drink. Everybody stay hydrated. And of course, go down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's so important and helps the channel out more than you understand. Boosting us in the algorithm, we'll get more players playing FAF. And of course, if you are a watcher of FAF, a FAF enjoyer, but you don't play the game, but you are interested, please consider joining the Discord with the link in the description. We have players of all rating ranges ready to play with you and help you learn the game today. So make sure you go check that out. It's a fun community. We do a lot of fun things. And whenever I live stream, there's a chance you can come join me whenever we do community games. Over here to the west, we have SSS showing up with a strap bomber. Does manage to get at least one T2 mechs here. And is dropping again, gets another T2 mechs. Third is going to go down. It's definitely paid for itself, and if it falls into the water, that's going to be very unfortunate. Yeah, that reclaim number is going to be very reduced. And Excited has taken a little bit of an economic beating here, and Team 2 is pulling ahead economically, as you would kind of expect from having 4 players all focusing on managing their own small economy. It's a lot easier than one player managing a massive economy. But Excited is in the western side, doing very well for himself, getting set up, still holding off Green Submarine. The sore spot is, as it always has been, this middle area, where he seems to be struggling with just keeping Yu Jeong's pressure from threatening him. And there are some torp bombers out over here in the middle. Would love to see Nasimka show up and try and protect those, or at least take this air fight right here. And the air fight, is it going to be taken? Oh, a few of these ASF will be able to catch out some of SSS's ASF. And in fact, most of the ASF for SSS are going to go down here. And oh man, the air game not looking good for the southern team. But still, Yu Jeong is using so many torp bombers over here. He needs to be shut down here. Otherwise, this will be an issue, and down goes a few of the torpedo bombers. The ASF out from Nasimka trying their best. And over to the west, we have a ton of Seraphim units trying to push down this UEF force. Unfortunately for them, though, it doesn't seem they're able to break the bulwark of defense that the UEF Navy does have, and they can use that defense to be the best version of offense. If you can attack somebody without taking damage, listen, I'm the Chrono Professor. I'm the Chronofessor over here. I'm the one who uses it so often. And being able to deal damage without taking it is OP. That's the only way that less shit counters more shit. But there are very few ways in this game to make that happen. And the Bulwark, Asylums, Shields in general are a way to do that. Only the mobile ones, of course. I mean, I guess the static ones can help, but they don't really move around. They can't really be used offensively. It's hard to use a shield offensively. I mean, it doesn't really make sense, because in real life, if you're thinking like a shield you're holding around, you can bash somebody. Like, you can kill somebody with a shield. It's a big, heavy object. We used clubs for a large amount of time in history to cudgel each other to death. That's why cudgeling is still a word in our vernacular. Now, of course, here in the middle, the naval presence for Excited, if you could call it that, is almost non-existent. He has a couple of frigates coming here every once in a while, but still managing to hold on to this base, at least for the short term. Just, it feels like he's kind of being split. Green Submarine and Yujeong pressuring two different points of the map are really hurting Excited, but he has managed to hit T3 Navy, has managed to get out his own battleship, and I think he's the first player to do it, and that battleship could be very, very useful. I would also maybe like to see him go for some Yathsaus. If he has the APM to micro them, they can very easily clean this up. Once you get up 5, 6, once you get into the double digits especially, they can destroy entire navies in a short order. But it is, of course, a risky play, and you do have to really babysit them. Now, he does need to be careful. This battleship alone cannot fight. Battleships are very bad at fighting alone. They need a support structure. They need frigates. They need usually cruisers and destroyers to accompany them to just try and keep any real aggression from being landed upon them. Their biggest strength is their range and their HP pool, and unfortunately they don't have DPS to back up either of those, so they're very slow at killing things off. They're more about whittling down your enemy. And a bunch of torpedo bombers come in, take off about a third of the HP of this T3 battleship. And of course, these torpedo bombers going to get a second pass, now nearing half HP for that battleship out from Excited, but he's already got a second one online. He's sitting on a very strong economy, at least for now, but we have to keep in mind, all of this time he's been catching, his opponents have been catching up economically, and now we see Green Submarine and Yujeong getting close to his mass totals. So that is a very, very troubling progression of events for this northern team. They are really struggling with what they need to get done. And honestly, over here to the southeast, I really basically completely missed it, but VIP has just been a silent hero for the northern team. He's knocked out so much of Silent Noob's control over this area, and with a lot of help coming out from Nasimka. I've been focusing on the forces of all the high-rated players up here, but the sort of mid-rated players here are all just making moves. And it's very cool to see. The large navy over here for VIP starting to push forward, starting to get into the production of Silent Noob, and he has the air support of Nasimka to help him out. So I think what they're trying to do is they're saying, Excited, just hold out as long as you can. Get up those beefy battleships. Use them as a way to protect yourself. We'll come help, and they are coming to help as we speak. But we need to get damage done on the other side of the map, otherwise this is hopeless. And of course, that's what's happening. VIP is making strides and is now going to be getting some real economic and production damage down onto the enemy team. If he can manage to get in here to just kill off this entire base, it will equalize the economic advantage that Team 2 currently holds over Team 1. I just don't see the units here for Silent Noob. I don't see the torpedo bombers being able to make a difference with Nasimka over here very, very patiently babysitting this Air Force. He is flying over cruisers, but it's just one cruiser. There's some flak coming by trying to ward off the ASF, but the ASF of SSS decide to go in for an air fight that they were destined to lose. And now with the destroyers getting in range of this T2 HQ, they're going to be able to take down that T2 torpedo launcher very quickly. And very soon, I don't think Silent Noob is going to have a navy to speak of. Overall, things looking a little bit brighter now for this northern team as they have made strides down here. We're now going to start seeing battleships and large amounts of units rolling off the line over here. And one big thing that this does that we weren't really able to speak about is this pulls units away from Excited's fronts. This is really like, right now, VIP and Nasimka are being a pressure release valve for the northern team. They're reducing a lot of this pressure by overwhelming Silent Noob. And of course, all of these power generators gonna go down. And the big thing about that is without any power, Silent Noob won't be able to run all of these T3 mechs he's built up. There's now a cruiser within range. It's gonna start killing off a T3 mechs. And the economy is gonna start plummeting a little bit for this second team. As all of this goes down, the battleship, the destroyers coming in range now for Yu Jeong. Unfortunately, that will put an end to VIP's push and will leave a lot of reclaim over on this eastern side of the map. But this entire time, you can see here in the middle, Team 1 is pushing. Over on the west, Team 1 is still holding out against Green Submarine. And right now, things are looking all right for Team 1. They're still behind. They're not in the best of positions. But they are not out of it yet. And they are really fighting for their right to win this game. And now Nasimka still coming over here, still supporting. Nasimka has been, along with VIP, the two silent heroes on this eastern side of the map. The air control out from Nasimka has been spectacular. And VIP has managed to set up a production powerhouse that doesn't seem to be rivaled, at least by Silent Noob. That's been a real problem here with the TMD going down, with this T3 power gen now under threat, and with VIP pushing the production of Yu Jeong, allowing this force to continue wreaking havoc. Silent Noob is just in a painful position. And I don't think it's going to get any better. I think he's going to start losing these T3 mechs, and once he does, he pretty much doesn't have an economy. Everything else is T2 or T1. He won't really be able to afford boats. He'll have to spend a long time recovering, but a huge air fight breaks out. And does SSS finally have the winning number of ASF? No, he does not. And Nasimka maintains air superiority with his air superiority fighters. And now, with all of that damage done, you have to imagine Silent Noob, he's not in a power stall. Really needs to kill off those mechs, though. Keep on getting him down to about half HP, but not dealing that finishing blow. Maybe finally here we'll see one go down. There's really no T2 engineering to speak of here to stop this. I don't know why they're deciding to go down to this side of the map. Maybe they think that the destroyers can get some more damage done here, but I just think you need the cruiser to continue firing. And yeah, 3 mechs is all down to 2,500 or below HP. If he lets those live, he will be kicking himself. And once T2 finishes up, you know that T2 engineers are going to come out. We're going to see those TMD spammed up. In fact, Silent Noob's commander could do it right now. Maybe these destroyers, if they get into this little alcove here, they can deal damage upon those mechs directly, but if they can't, and that will have been a very sad moment for VIP, and maybe he isn't looking at it as closely as he should. TMD going to start going up here. A few missiles are already in the air, and that first mech's finally going to go down. If he focuses down this mech's, maybe he can get enough shots down in time. Is going to get rid of the reclaim even with the residual fire coming in here. But those two T3 mechs are going to survive, and I think I've spent too much time focusing there. I apologize. Huge fights still breaking out here in the middle. Double battleship over here for Yu Jeong. And over to the west, we have a double battleship, actually quadruple battleship for Excited, and he's really going to start taking Green Submarine to the cleaners. Green Submarine has one summit. You know what loses to 4 battleships? 1 battleship. That's quick maths for you. And of course, the cruiser does go down over there. The fight over here is fierce for Excited. I really feel like he has enough. He just needs to park the submarines underneath this force, use the destroyers as a buffer, and just attack move with the battleships. They will slowly kill all of this off. I mean, I guess all of these Valiant class destroyers are a bit of an issue, but you can focus them down with the battleships relatively easily. And over here in the middle, Yu Jae-ong, he's just struggling against the overwhelming forces coming out from VIP, who is not even bothering with T3 Navy. He's just like, I'm going to destroy you with way more units than you have. And of course, torpedo bombers out from the Simca, making that much more efficient. Any of these high-value targets will just be focused down by those torpedo bombers. And over here to the west, the bulwarks are a problem, but the Valiant classes are going down one by one every time they step out of that shielding. You see all of these shots ringing in from the Seraphim battleship, which has such a high rate of fire. And now with the submarine, or the torpedoes coming in, you have to imagine that a lot of these destroyers are going to go down. Cooper's built as response to all of those submarines built up by Excited. And the air fight gonna break out once again. Teleporter on the way for Silent Noob and then canceled. Any other spicy upgrades? No, not really. Not as of the moment. And the torpedo bomber, the air pressure out from the Simca has been pivotal this game in producing honestly, a close game. Sure, the economies are in favor of Team 2, but they're losing map control rapidly. And with this extra time, with this extra breathing room, you can see Excited. T3 mexes are just cropping up left and right. He's going to have a powerhouse economy here soon. Nasimka is sitting on quite the economy himself. And the lot boat game is strong from the northern team. They've just built a lot of boats. I mean, not that the southern team hasn't, but the southern team has done less lot boat and more shit counters less shit. And of course, these battleships here, continuing their reign of terror, now starting to deal damage onto the base of Yu Jae-ong, who is now one of the more poor players in the game at only just under 200 mass a second. He used to be one of the front runners, but now his ally Green Submarine is holding that title, but Green Submarine is losing a ton of his mexes over here on the west. At least 8 will go down in short succession. And there was a nuke being built up in the northeastern corner by Nasimka. You can see that here, but he switches over to an anti-nuke. I think they spotted out the nuke launcher. Yes, they did, out from Green Submarine. And that's going to be very unfortunate. And Yu Jae-ong, he has a lot of battleships. He could maybe fight Excited, but if he goes over and he tries to help out Green Submarine, he runs into the issue that VIP is just seemingly, I mean, without Silent Noob producing Navy, it's just very difficult for this southern team to really get anything done. Green Submarine asks for a scout in mid. He's going to rush this nuke. The anti-nukes need to be built up. There needs to be one on every major island. And unfortunately right now, Excited doesn't even have one on his main base. Excited might be a little bit too focused on microing all of these units. How many battleships is he at now? 9 battleships. He just has so many in the water. He has enough to get numbers advantages on both of Green Submarine's forces and Yu Jae-ong's forces. And over here to the far west, we have all of these units piling in for Excited. There's 4 summits here, but as long as the battleships for Excited go and get in within range of these summits, they will be able to do a lot. And also a huge wave of torpedo bombers come in, taking one of the summits almost to death, and more are coming in. If they get a second pass, that'll be great. Nasimka doing everything in his power to help his naval allies win, and here in the middle, yet again, VIP, he's just in between these bases. This is, he's like, you think this is your channel? No, this is my channel. I own this territory, and he's coming in, and he's just gonna be, he's gonna be doing his thing. He's happy. He's a happy boy. Teleporter now on the way for Silent Noob. He has gun damage in range, or gun speed in range, and splash. So that commander will be beefy, to say the least. And over here to the west, 2 of the summits have gone down. But unfortunately, Excited, he's up against overwhelming force, 2 summits and 5 Seraphim battleships. Is not a force you necessarily want to fight with your 3 battleships. He needs to regroup and probably get a lot of assistance from the air player. But he has done good work. He's done economic damage over here in the west. And that nuke, it's almost loaded for Green Submarine. It's very close to being done. We will go ahead and put tracking on it as I zoom out and talk about things. The forces out from Green Submarine and Yujeong, their armadas pushing back Excited's mega armada. But this entire time, sending all of these battleships over means that VIP, he's yet again in a strong position. He's going to be able to push in. Sure, there's hover. Sure, there's frigates. But that's not going to be enough as the nuke launches and flies up into the sky. We get to watch it go, and it's seemingly tracking towards Excited's original main base. If this manages to get a couple of mexes in that HQ, it could be a very problem. And over here, SSX decided to teleport into the base of Nasimka. And it didn't seem to go well. He did throw up a few PD, but he dies to T1 bombers. And the nuke gonna land over here to the west. Sorry I missed that teleport play. But SSS, he's been struggling this game, and he does go in. The nuke lands, killing off a few mexes. But what are mexes if not replaceable? And a bit of the air grid of Nasimka goes down. He can rebuild it very quickly, if he so pleases. And needs to stop building bombers. I think his HQ went down, needs to rebuild that HQ. Because right now, he still needs to control the airs. And over here at the main base of SSS, now handed over to Yujeong. It's under siege. There's destroyers out from VIP. And they're going to kill off a T3 mech. Gonna hurt this economy just a little bit. And now Team 1 at 1.2 thousand mass. And that's gonna be a strong contender with their opponents not even cresting 900 mass a second. Silent Noob, his teleporter is done. Where is he gonna go? It's the next thing we need to keep track of. Some good blows coming back out from this southern team. But is it enough, is the question. The Navy over here for Yujeong, pushing the Navy over here in the west for Yujeong and Green Submarine, seemingly getting whittled down a little bit. They don't have much of the supporting units anymore. And the torpedo bomber and T1 bomber wave out from Nasimka, gonna try and push back once again against this force out from Yujeong. And naval production over here for Green Submarine now starting to have some quarrels with units out from VIP, but VIP has just done so much damage on the other side of the map. And is now going to come in towards the production of Yujeong, and there's nothing here to defend just yet. If this isn't scouted, if there's not a response sent, this army could come in, and if it snipes the T3 production, that could be good, or even just takes out a lot of these T2 producing facilities. And the torpedo bombers and T1 bombers over here for Nasimka are just raining terror down upon the force of Yujeong. And now we have Silent Noob seemingly teleporting just outside his base. I'm really worried that I'm going to miss a teleport out from him. I already missed SSS's teleport. Over here to the west, Another nuke launched. Where is it going? It's going straight for the base of Nasimka. Unfortunately, though, that will be shot down. And now torpedo bombers coming in to try and assist the forces of VIP. And trying to get damage down onto what I would assume to be his factories. It's all about killing off that production. It buys you so much time while they have to rebuild it. Focusing fire onto this battleship, I don't know if it's the best call unless the torpedo bombers help out here. With that battleship, I don't think it's going to go particularly well. I mean, the battleship will go down, but you've wasted so much time firing into that. But a lot of this production now for Yujeong is going down. An air wing out from Yujeong shows up to kill off all of these torpedo bombers. But I don't know, an air fight right now could be pretty even. Yujeong's been building up his air force slowly but steadily. And he's also pushing up here in the north, excited, struggling. He seems to have lost his momentum he once held, but he's killed off so many battleships. But now the issue is there's a not insignificant number of UEF battleships. The Seraphim battleships were killed off, but the UEF ones managed to stay alive with their extra range. And now these Summit classes are going to start being a big problem for Excited. With Teleporter done for Silent Noob, it's only a matter of time before he goes in somewhere, and that could be disastrous. Awasa now on the way for VIP. Surprised we hadn't seen one of those already, with the overwhelming air dominance out of the northern team. And these summits, they're being used to great effect. You can see them firing onto enemy battleships that just cannot return fire. Range is somewhat of a kingmaker stat in Forged Alliance, having greater range. It comes with a lot of responsibility, but it does have great power, and with great power comes great responsibility. With great range comes great micro. So, you can see over here, Green Submarine. He's being Micro Jackson with his Summit classes, making sure that they're very well babied and taken care of to avoid massive incursions of damage. This southeast corner is really controlled by the northern team. And a teleport underway for Silent Noob. He's gonna go into the base of, I believe that's Nasimka, yet again. Poor Nasimka. He's just being focused down by all of these teleporting commanders. What an annoyance. And now T3 mexes, a part of the air grid, all going down.
Strategic launch detected.
A nuke being launched right here, but it's got 2 anti-nukes loaded. And Silent Noob could just teleport out here, and is indeed going to go for that. He's going to take a lot of damage. Maybe he can get another rank of veterancy with killing off another T3 Max. Does manage it, and that rank of veterancy puts him at 13,000 HP as he's about to get out. He is going to survive. Don't know where he went. Seemingly just back to his main base. It's going to take a long time to recover. 40 HP a second is not all that much for 17,000 HP. And this nuke, you could have seen it land right here and do some damage economically, but they're just wanting to hurt Nasimka as much as possible. And they're doing a damn good job of it with all these teleporting commanders. And now he has that commander to fight the Zooey spam over here in his base. Over to the west, we have submarines out from Excited, and that could be a way out. He was struggling with the battleship wars against these summits, but the thing is, the summit can't really do anything other than ground fire, which is incredibly micro intensive against the Yassau. So those Yassau could be very important, and all of Yujeong's naval production has been shut down. He has managed to rebuild at least some of it back here in the back line, but VIP is just pushing in here in the middle. He has his own battleships, finally. He's survived on T2 tech for so long. And Yu Jaeong, he's trying so hard. And he's getting so far. But in the end, it doesn't feel like it's gonna matter. It's a Duke now on the way for Green Submarine. The nuke for Nasimka about to be loaded. The Awasa half done. And all of these cruisers now firing their payloads into the base of Silent Noob, and Silent Noob is teleported to this middle island, but there's a ton of T1 bombers. He needs to start moving. He's gonna have to micro his way out of this, but no! He goes down. The T1 bombers are strong. And that's gonna be another player down for the Southern team. Yu Jaeong gonna be sitting on a third base. Unfortunately, these bases he's inheriting, I mean, I guess inheriting SSS's base is pretty good, but this base is all but destroyed. And it really seems as though this Southern team, despite their very strong early game and defeating Finks, cannot hold it together against, honestly, the teamwork of the Northern team. Nasimka was assisting VIP in the Eastern side. They were throwing Excited out to dry since he had the extra economy. And then the moment that Excited looked like he was about to break, the moment he was at his breaking point, VIP and Nasimka show up to save him. And they just constantly plug any holes that they find, and they find damage on the other side that's just unable to be reconciled by this Southern team. And now all of these Yathows coming in. Watch the HP on this summit just fall off. Oh, it's brutal. And there's just really no response here. I mean, you need Coopers, but the Coopers have to be able to survive long enough to get to these submarines. And even when they do, the submarines do have 4,000 HP. It's not like they're particularly low on HP. I mean, I guess for a naval unit, they don't have that great HP. They only have 2 frigates worth of HP, but still takes a little while for the torpedoes to chew through them. And they're going to do so much damage here. Neptunes being used to try and stop all of this spam. This Duke is about to finish up for Green Submarine. Checking the bases to see if anything's going on.
Strategic launch detected.
Strategic launch detected out of Nasimka. It's making its way down south. It's going for the production right here. I don't know if that anti-nuke will stop it, but if it does manage to get both of these HQs, that will be brutal. Here comes the nuke right down Nuka Claw's lane. VIP, he's kind of just like throwing so much into trying to stop Excited. But VIP is also a huge issue here, and now we even see Nasimka with his own navy. And let's see if this nuke is shot down. It is not! And both naval HQs for Green Submarine and Yu Jaeong go down. And the Duke now fires its payload out onto the other side. They're hoping for a miracle. Because right now, if nothing goes wrong, Team 1 will inevitably win. A spread command out from Nasimka. He pretty much lost an air fight. And he's going to have to recover. Does manage to salvage quite a few ASF out of that, which will be good. And we now see the Yathsau fleet taken down so much damage onto the enemy team. That was a weird way to word that. Taking down so much damage onto the enemy team. That was not great. But of course, the battleships, no! They're going down. And they're not, and it's not a fun time. Down to the south, there are a litany of problems. A litany? Is that right? A retinue? Cornucopia of problems coming out from VIP for Yu Jeong. He is using quite a few Stork torpedo bombers to try and deal with it. Nasimka has pretty much recovered from both of those comms dropping into his base and has decided that it's not happening again. Has built up a line of Ravagers. And the Duke is firing over onto the base of Excited, trying to get anti-nukes, it would seem. Over here to the east, VIP is being pushed back. And we wait with bated breath to see what exactly is going to go down here. It feels so much like Green Submarine and Yu Jeong have pretty much been knocked out of this game and are on the edge of just being completely losing it. And this nuke down here are going to kill off a lot of this T3 land production that's being used to spam out Zuis as well as some eco. Basically, if there's not an anti-nuke over it, it's going to go down here soon. There's 2 anti-nukes over here on this island. So this should be fine. In fact, there's 3, and none of them are loaded. He could nuke them right now with no repercussions. I mean, some of them are probably pretty close to loading. Strategic launch detected. Going for this middle island. No anti-nuke loaded here, thankfully. Nuke does land over here. Very pretty explosion from Nasimka. And this nuke out from Green Submarine is going to land right about here. So we'll go ahead and watch that. Excited, it's kind of hard. And there goes the nuclear explosion. Awasa flying over for good measure. And handed over to Nasimka with is that Awasa. The air game not necessarily looking good for the northern team at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised to see some SAM spam coming up from either side. I haven't really seen that this game. It's a very powerful thing to do. Create large zones of control. And these Coopers, they're gonna kill off these Yatsows so quickly. And Awasa, if it could come in, I mean, it can't really drop right now because the Yatsows are right underneath the Navy. He'd kill off more of his allies than his enemies. He needs to find some damage. Could just drop a bomb willy-nilly over here onto these mexes. Get some free damage down. Or even maybe just go for a YOLO strat, just drop it on the enemy air grid. Although that would require Yu Jeong not to respond, which seems unlikely. And now the Yatsows have managed to clean up what was left here. The Neptunes gifted from Nasimka over to Excited, I believe. Or no, Excited built his own. And all of these cruisers apparently were gifted to Nasemka. No, they were built by him over here in the southeast corner. And the Yathsaus have pushed in, and it seems like the writing isn't on the wall. I said that weird, but the writing is on the wall for this southern team. And Green Submarine and Yu Jeong, they played a stellar game. They fought tooth and nail. But the walls are closing in around them. And unless they have some breakout amazing play, barring a heart attack of all 4 enemy players, I think they may win it. As the Anaconda restricts around the neck of Team 2, I'd like to ask you, if you enjoy this content, if you've made it a whole 55 minutes into a cast, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing if you haven't already. And of course, go down below, join the Discord, and leave a comment. And now, we see the ever so slow and painful death of 2 Titans this game. They have played very, very well. Yu Jeong says, oh, Green Submarine says, okay, GG now. He control Ks. Yu Jeong, I think, will follow suit. And he does. Thank you all for watching. You've been beautiful. Please consider joining the channel membership or the Patreon if you want to support me further. And thank you to those who have already joined. It is very, very helpful and really makes this channel a lot better. You all are beautiful. I'll see you in the next one. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay